So, what has Sowtex been up to?
Sowtex is turning 5 today. How are you feeling?
It feels great that it's been about a journey that was well traveled, well progressed. We shifted from a completely marketing and manufacturing base to a digital space. I would say it's 5 years have just gone by like just in a jiffy, and it just seems like yesterday that we just thought of putting it all together. And with 5 years now, a lot of learning, a lot of contacts, a lot of collaborations, partnerships, and associations, not within just our country but also across borders.
What were the important insights in reaching 1,000 users when launching the app?
It was just a time when we were just architecting as to how we can showcase the suppliers to the fraternity in the right manner and in a swift manner, which where we, as part of our vertical, we have been emphasizing on fast track sourcing. That fast track sourcing was just one of the ideation, and that first 1,000 users gave us a lot of ideas. We were focusing more on the quality comparing to the quantity. So I would say the first 1,000 users was a learning curve for us. At the same time, it was something which went on very swiftly. We got our first 200 users in first month itself, and then the next 300 to 700 just came up within a month or so. We just were fortunate to launch it in a grand trade show, and we got a fabulous response. And post the first 1,000, I would say it becomes very, very easy for us as to we know that what exactly are the users looking out for when it comes to digital platform.
So, what were the challenges that you observed in the B2B space before starting Sowtex?
In a B2B space, I would say the main fragmentation in the market was fact that as an ecosystem it's very, very big. At the same time, it is highly fragmented. Discovery was a very, very primitive stage. It still is. I would say 95% of the community still works on the old traditional ways of doing the sourcing. Coming from a background of textiles myself in the industry for 20 years, I always felt that going to a newer market, working out in a traditional way, working with just fewer meetings in a day, and then ending up with no results, or sometimes the expectations changes with the buyer. So just to fast track the entire process, we always thought that there should be something else. That's why we thought a B2B platform and something which can become a focused discovery for a community at large. With a space that we are in, I would say it has got a long-term future. And with the ecosystem that we are developing and the ecosystem that we are living in currently, everything is becoming digital. So if one is not on digital space, I would say very soon he's going to be out of the business. So,
You started Sowtex in India. How did you progress from a domestic to an international firm?
While the idea of starting in India was just to test the waters within their own markets, because till the time you don't test your waters within your own market, you don't go out and start doing things. Luckily, we were fortunate enough that I have my own experiences, and so the other team members of working internationally. So we rolled out the product in India first, and then after getting the responses from the initial set of users, we started pivoting it fast, and then within no time the architecture that we created was in a way that it can actually take it up to the international market. So we started capturing out and we venturing out to Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, and it just happened that these were the neighboring markets, and the response was good.
Since one of the main aspects of Sowtex is reducing the cost in digital sourcing, how did you manage to do that within the first year?
See, I feel that the fact was that the community of manufacturers and the community of buyers, everybody knows how to do the sourcing. There is nothing new that we're teaching to them. The only aspect where people look out is the fact that how that process can be shortened up, and the way we want to add value into the entire value proposition is that the more quicker a buyer gets to meet the right supplier, and the better way of a right supplier to discover the right buyer, if that process can be shortened up. So that's what led us to start the entire process.
With the onset of the COVID pandemic in 2020, how did you adapt to the new normal?
Luckily, being a digital company and having the lot of data-centric approach in our initial years, we were quick to adopt to the newer interface of connecting to the community at large. Zoom just happened and everybody started, coming on Zoom. So the communication started going up. We were able to quickly, get that concept onto the platform, and probably we were amongst the first initial ones to start communicating with the industry at larger formats through webinars, through buyer-seller meets, and through conclaves, which went on pretty well, and we had a huge acceptance from industry. It was a mix of learnings for everyone, because sitting at the comfort of their houses, they were able to connect people across the other geographies within the borders. So I would say that was one of the areas that really gave us a good spike in the initial days, while everybody was sitting down and they were all evaluating how the business has to progress going forward. We were suddenly being able to make and add value through series of events on our webinars. So I would say we had a great time engaging with the people during the COVID times.
How did you feel when Sowtex won Startup of the Year by Silicon India magazine?
That was just one of the recognitions, and it just came in with a little surprise, because yes, we were quite active on our community engagements. As a platform, we were amongst the first also to quickly do a lot of events, cross-border events, webinars, and that actually got the attention of Silicon magazine, and they wanted to feature us, and they really liked the concept of connecting through buyer-seller meets online and offline both. We were already doing it in the physical format, in a meetups format before the COVID. We just started that, and immediately during the COVID we pivoted and started creating the online B2B meetings. So those concepts were quite new in that initial stages. So that and the community responses were coming out in a phenomenal way. We had people coming and attending to our webinars. There were anything in between 200 to 200, 300. There was a webinar which went up to 500, 600 people also from the community. So that was something which was appreciated by the Silicon Valley Silicon magazine, that we were still binding up the community.
What led to the creation of Sowtex Design Lab?
So Sowtex Design Lab was an offshoot of, again, the product development side. Of course, we were part of the product development, and we wanted to make sure that the time which is getting spent on the product developments has to be reduced. There was a company in US which was also part of our webinars and discussions. And in one of the sessions we had a discussion, and they were talking about how the 3D was already in play, and how this company was doing the 3D at the garmenting side. and we just kind of combined this concept with the mills, the fabric suppliers, because that was the community which was not using 3D as an application. So we discussed this concept and we came up with the ideas, and then we started discussing with this tech company, Tech, and they suddenly agreed. The chairman of Tech, Mr. Salim, he had a broad vision, and with the concept that we proposed him, he really liked the idea, and then we just got to the conversation of exposing it to the community at large at a very lower price points. So I mean, there were host of things that came into the process, a lot of discussions, and eventually we came up with the idea of Sowtex Design Lab, which was just an offshoot of how we can help the smaller companies and smaller enterprises and the designers and the startups in this particular arena. And that came up with the idea of Sowtex Design Lab as to how we can help the community to fast track their product development in the arena.
How was the experience of the first physical event after months of lockdown? And what went behind the creation of the Mill Meet series?
Industry was actually striving to get back to the physical side. Of course, we had all gone through a very long COVID timeline where people were relentless of sitting back at their homes or looking through people. Community engagement was something which was almost everybody has grown up building the business by interacting, engaging, and human connection was part of it. And we again restarted with the Mill concept at a very smaller format, knowing that COVID was still under the eyesight, and still there were restrictions of how many people can come together at a single point of time. So we again took the leap of faith of going ahead and creating our first Mill Meet. So that was a time when people were still kind of not sure whether they should be coming in a public event or not. But yes, it went out, and it was a huge success, interacting with the people and engaging across the communities, and that led us to open up our the complete format of the events, and the rest has just been a history where we've now covered close to about 8 physical events, and out of that 6 have been the Mill Meets only.
Since sustainability is a global trend in today's times, how is Sowtex contributing to sustainable practices?
While we understand that sustainability is it's a very broad term, and there are different offshoots of that one single term where recyclability, reusability, and product and then decomposition of a product. So there are different parameters as to how a person or an industry perceives the sustainability. For us, the way we look at the sustainability is as to what can be done by eliminating the processes in between. So if we were to shorten down the process, let's say if it is a product development, or let's say it's a sourcing side, either of in these 2 examples only that I'm sharing, it's only the fact that if we were to reduce a wastage in the procurement, or if we are able to reduce the wastage in the product development itself, we are looking at saving huge cost. And the second part is if we are injecting the technology into this particular area, technology adds a lot of advantages of its own, where the process can be speeded up. You are able to start working on different concepts without even making a first physical interaction of the sample. Ultimately, everything works around on the sourcing side, whether it is from the initial stage to the procurement of the large formats of the orders or a smaller format for the orders. Everybody has to work in a way that the process should be shortened up. They shorten the process, the more precise it should be, and at the same time the discovery becomes so new. So overall it impacts the sustainability scores, wherein not only on one side you are reducing the cost factor, the second side you are limiting the waste, and the third side you are able to come up with exact focused requirements, what your buyer is expecting out of you, and what you should be delivering as a supplier or a manufacturer.
How do you see Sowtex evolving in your mission?
I would say the journey has been quite progressive. It has been through our own learning curves, and we still have a long distance to travel. And I would say we have to be very, very focused to the things that we want to do and not go broad. You have to go narrow versus going broad.
On this auspicious occasion of completing 5 years, what would be your message to the viewers?
So my message to the viewers would be the sourcing, particularly because we strive at the fact that the sourcing has to be fast tracked, and the sourcing not only has to be fast tracked, it also has to become transparent, and it has to become responsible in a way that the entire ecosystem feels that they should be more efficient and we should eliminate the wastage side of it. That's the complete holistic way of how the digital ecosystem is. So our message to the youth would be pure and simple, that one has to adopt the technology sooner or later. The sooner you do it, the better it is to fast track your business and improve your top line and the bottom lines together. So don't think it too much. Just join any platform. You make yourself visible online. Have your products, have your websites, have your company's name online, and have them on as many platforms as possible, because the buyers out there, the user out there, and the teams as well as the employees, everybody looks out to the companies digitally. Everybody starts making their first level of opinion digitally. So it is the time that the industry should evolve and they should become digitally active in this space. So be a part of the ecosystem and build your business in the best and the fastest way through digital technologies.